It's funny how much of a task I set myself, but not only catching up on what's happened in the Dream SMP so far, but also to turn it into a comprehensible short video for everyone to either catch up on the server with, or to just relive and re-experience what actually happened from the very start. Either way, I'm trying to get to 100,000 subscribers before the end of the year, so if you want to help me reach that goal, it'd be highly appreciated if you go sub down below. Also, make sure to go check out me on Twitch, as I do live stream there pretty regularly now. Anyhow, let's get into it. The beginning, aka before Tommy. When this server started out, it was just an everyday SMP server being played between the Dream team, starting with Dream and George Norfound on April the 25th, 2020. Not long afterwards, Callahan and Snapnap would join the server, whilst in the process of the community house being constructed. Awesome Sam Dude, Alyssa, Ponk, and Bad Boy Halo would join within the same time period. Tommy joins. Tommy and it would join on July 4th, 2020 to immediately start causing issues and chaos with the other members in the SMP server, breaking the cool rules of the server, no stealing, no griefing, and no murder, almost immediately. He would also be sent to jail and then promptly banned from the server, all within the same day. I mean, that's a way to speedrun Minecraft, I guess. Tommy's joining of the server would lead to the beginning of a war that would never really see its end in the server. This would be when the main events of the Dream SMP server would actually kick off. This is when it all started. The Disc Saga. One of the first of the many wars that the Dream SMP would experience would be the Disc Saga. The Disc Saga would be Tommy's fight for his two discs, Cat and Melonhigh. The reasons behind Tommy wanting to have these discs is because of the sentimental values behind the discs. The main person who would continuously attempt to take the disc for himself would be Dream, as he wanted to use them to hold power over Tommy. These pair of discs would lead to the events of several different wars over the time of the SMP. The fight for the disc would last over the time span of 6 different months up until Tommy finally got all of them back from Dream on January the 20th, 2021. The L'Manberg War. After Wilbur joins the SMP, he and Tommy would start creating drugs together in a drug van not far from Spawn. Wilbur would then form his own nation with Tommy to be known as L'Manberg, with Eric, Tubbo, and Fundy joining them. They would soon declare their independence, which would start the L'Manberg War, where Dream disagrees with this idea as he will no longer hold power over everyone else in this L'Manberg, therefore causing the Dream SMP and L'Manberg to go head-to-head in war. This would all end up going wrong for L'Manberg, as Eric would betray and backstab them, making them lose all hope and lose the battle until Tommy offered to duel Dream. The stakes? If Tommy won, L'Manberg would gain its independence. If Dream won, Tommy would have to hand over one of his 2 discs, with L'Manberg being brought back underneath the control of the Dream SMP. Tommy would end up losing this duel, but would negotiate with Dream in order to sacrifice both of his 2 discs in order to gain L'Manberg's independence. The Railway Skirmish. This would be a small but funny and interesting war between Tommy, Tubbo, and Dream, where Tommy would run into Dream with a minecart, killing him. Yeah, about as bizarre as you can think. Tommy would end up stealing all of Dream's stuff in order to try and hold some power over Dream. Tommy's plan was to use Dream's stuff in order to get his discs back from Dream, but Dream would end up rejecting the idea, saying that he can easily get his stuff back. Tommy would end up giving Dream his stuff back after Dream killed his horse. This would make Tommy lose power over him, weakening him in the process and ending the rail skirmish. The Pet War. This war would all start when Snapnap started shooting arrows around Nikki's fox, Fungi. Originally this was meant to be a joke, with Snapnap purposely missing the fox, but Snapnap would accidentally end up killing Fungi. After Nikki found out, she wanted revenge, and with the help of Tommy, she would steal Snapnap's fish, Beckerson and Mars. Dream would end up logging on in order to de-escalate this entire situation, would get Snapnap on to apologize for killing Fungi, and Dream took the fish for himself. Later on, Fundy would end up logging in to find out what happened, and after failing to calm him down, Nikki was manipulated into helping Fundy kill Snap-Nap's favorite fox, Sketches. Snap-Nap would end up killing Fundy's Enderman, Leonard, in return, and he also took down and burnt the diamond block on Funky's grave. In the end, the two would duel, and Fundy would ultimately end up losing this duel, but in the end, no one really won, as everyone lost pets in the end and no one really gained any power. The Manberg Rebellion. After L'Manberg ended up declaring independence, Wilbur would end up taking the presidency for himself without having a proper vote. In the end, Wilbur would end up announcing an election. He had intended to be the only party running to make sure that the people of L'Manberg would have no choice. But Quackity would hear of this plot and would form a party to run against them. The two parties would go head to head in a debate. Swag 2020 versus Pog 2020. Essentially Quackity and George Not Found versus Wilbur and Tommy. Not long afterwards, a new member would join the SMP, Schlatt, who was pulled in by Wilbur and Tommy to help them, but in the end he decided that he wanted to run in the election as well. Behind the scenes, both Quackity and Schlatt would make a deal that if neither of them win, they would combine their votes and party to try and attempt to have more votes than Pog 2020. When the votes all came in, Pog 2020 won, but then Quackity and Jay Schlatt combined their party and ultimately won over Pog 2020. And the first thing Schlatt would do as president is to revoke both Wilbur's and Tommy's citizenship. The War of the Burning Eiffel Tower. This war would begin when Sapnap would attempt to kidnap and then accidentally kill Tommy's most prized pet, Henry the Cow. Tommy would end up plotting for a revenge, where he and Dream would fight against Sapnap. In the midst of the fighting, Sapnap would bring in Bad Boy Halo, Skeppy, Ant Frost, and Puns to help him. And as Tommy and Dream started to lose the battle, Dream would end up pulling in Technoblade, who would help turn the tide into their favor, leading them to win the war and kill Sapnap. The Manberg vs Pogtopia War. The war between Manberg and Pogtopia would occur. This would end up being one of the server's biggest wars, as almost every single member in the server would fight that day. But as the war went on, and as Manberg would continue to lose more and more people over and over and over again, Manberg would end up pulling Pogtopia's leader Wilbur aside for a talk. After of which they would all meet up and annoy Schlatt, who was sitting in the drug van, who would ultimately end up dying of a heart attack. Wait. A heart attack in Minecraft? Huh. The people of Team Pogtopia thought there was a traitor amongst them. But after Schlatt died, Dream would end up announcing the fact that it was a lie and that there was never any traitor. With the news, the members of Pogtopia began to celebrate the victory. However, after setting up the beginnings of a new government, Dream would announce that he had actually lied and Wilbur was in fact the traitor. Technoblade would have started to go rogue after the setting up of a new government. And in the midst of all the fighting, Wilbur would press the button that would blow up L'Manberg. Filzer would catch Wilbur in the act and attempt to stop him, but once L'Manberg had blown up, he decided that it was Wilbur's time to be removed from this world, as he was removed from his final canon life. Tommy's exile. Following the events of the last war and a few other smaller things, Dream would order for Tommy's exile from L'Manberg. He would start building a large obsidian wall around L'Manberg. Tommy would then be put on trial from robbing and burning down George Not Found's house. Tommy would start off with claiming that he did nothing wrong, but then would also start protecting Rambo, who was involved in these crimes. The results of the trial would not be enough for Dream, and Dream would continue to push Tubbo's hand into exiling Tommy. After even more disagreements between Tommy and Dream, Dream would push the hands and give them 3 days to exile Tommy or face more punishment. On the final day, Tubbo and his cabinet would agree to stand against Dream, but whilst in the meeting with Dream, Tubbo would end up going against them, saying to Tommy that he's sorry, and that he agrees that it's time for him to be exiled. Throughout the time frame that Tommy was exiled from L'Manberg, he would be continuously manipulated by Dream until he ends up escaping and coming across his Techno's faraway Tundra base. Throughout the next collection of events would befriend Technoblade, the Butcher's Army. After the war in L'Manberg and Tommy's exiling, Tubbo's cabinet was enraged about the last-minute decision that went against what they agreed upon. To try and defuse the situation and unite the cabinet, Quackity decided to take Tubbo and Fundy to the secret reading room filled with anti-techno propaganda. Fundy would then share his secret hit list that had Techno's Blade name on it, and they all agreed that Techno's time has come. It was time for him to face the crimes of his past. Dream would catch wind of this plan and would give Techno a map to go to a woodland mansion to go find himself a couple of totems of undying, in return for a favor later on. The Butcher army would head out to find and kidnap Techno, and after a brief fight, Quackity would take Carl to force Techno to come to L'Manberg with them for a trial. This trial would end up being a lie, and instead, their true motive was to execute him. They would put Techno in a cage where an anvil would end up dropping from above, but Pums would end up dropping out of nowhere, placing a ton of TNT and start attacking the group in order to distract them, while Dream takes Carl away and Techno gets his totem out. Quackity in the haste of battle would hit the lever to kill Techno, but he would survive and escape. Techno and Quackity would end up dueling in the control room, where Quackity would end up losing one of his cannon lives to Techno, and Techno would escape. When Techno returned home, he would end up coming across Tommy sneaking around his place, who had gone insane from his brief exilization so far. Quackity and the rest of the Butcher army would put the puzzle pieces together to figure out that Dream helped Techno, and then started plans for the Green Festival where they would kill Dream at. The Green Festival. Tommy and Techno would discover the date of a planned festival after interrogating Fundy and Rambo. They would both attend the festival in secret in order to gather as much information as they can, as well as to find out what exactly is happening. Dream would end up joining in and showing Tubbo the destroyed community house, claiming that it was Tommy's doing. And for Tubbo's failure to keep Tommy away from L'Manberg, he requests of Tubbo for the disc that he holds of Tommy's. But in the midst of this, Tommy would interrupt, revealing himself and arguing with Tommy about his innocence and his exile. Tommy had realized he had become someone he didn't want to be and asked Tubbo to give Dream the disc. Tommy would end up betraying Technoblade for L'Manberg, and Dream would ally with Techno, giving L'Manberg 21 hours before the final destruction. Tommy and Tubbo would put aside their differences in order to prep for the Doomsday War. The Doomsday War. The Doomsday War was the most devastating war of the whole of the SMP. It was Dream, Technoblade, and Philza against the entire nation of L'Manberg. The 21-hour timer that Dream set up the day before was set to begin the fight at 3 PM EST. However, those three would end up attacking L'Manberg around 20 minutes earlier in order to gain an advantage over everyone else. In preparation for this event, Dream had set up a massive obsidian grid where he could use to drop massive loads of TNT upon L'Manberg from above. Tommy and Tubbo had an army. However, when compared to the sheer power of Technoblade, it wasn't the greatest. L'Manberg was not prepared for battle. It had barely any equipment to fight and very weak armor. The battle would begin with Techno going into battle with his armies of wolves, and then calling upon for Philza to start placing down as many withers as he can, all to just distract L'Manberg while Dream set up his TNT above. As the war went on, 15 different withers would be summoned, and the TNT would be dropped, destroying L'Manberg and leaving nothing left but a ruined nation with no way of rebuilding. A crater going all the way down to bedrock was all that was left. The imprisonment. A few weeks after the war, Dream would request for Tommy and Tubbo to meet up with them. He would leave a compass named Your Disc with Tommy, pointing the way to where they would find Dream. They left to go find him, knowing that this might be the final time they both go on an adventure, as they both only had one cannon life left. But knowing that the prized discs were on the line, they had no choice but to follow the compass and find Dream. They would confront him, then they would do battle, only stopping after they realized that they don't even know if Dream had the disc on him. But then Dream taunted them by playing Malahai in an obsidian box in the sky. Tubbo would distract Dream while Tommy would reclaim the disc. Dream would quickly overpower Tubbo, holding him hostage for Tommy to return the disc. Dream then reveals to them that the disc was fake and ordered both of them to throw everything that they had on them into a hole, where Dream would blow it all to pieces. Dream would then take them to a secret lair, where Dream reveals that he blew up the community house in order to frame Tommy to get his second disc back from Tubbo. Dream would then show them his vault, where Dream keeps everything that the members in the server find to be valuable. Dream then reveals that Tommy's cow, Henry, wasn't actually dead, but in fact was taken by Dream. Dream would then explain to them what is about to happen, that he would take Tubbo's final life and put Tommy into Pandora's vault. Knowing that they had no other option, they accepted their fate. But suddenly, Puns walks through the portal that links to the vault and says,
I'm sorry, Dream.
Goodbye, Tommy.
Puns?
I'm sorry, Dream. But you should have paid me more.
Oh.
You came! What?
Wait.
Puns is then followed by all the other members. They come in and corner Dream, force him to drop all of his items, which Tommy would promptly pick up, and Tommy would take 2 of Dream's cannon lives. And as Tommy goes to kill him for the final time, Dream reveals that he has the power to revive people, but this power was given to him in a book by Schlatt before he died. Tommy then has the sudden idea to maybe revive Wilbur, and decides not to kill Dream, but to instead put Dream into Pandora's vault, the prison which is claimed to be impossible to escape from. They all return home and lock Dream up for good. Tommy's final visit. A month after Tommy got his disc back from Dream, Tommy goes to visit Dream for the final time in order to end it all, in order to give closure to everything that had happened, and to cut Dream out of his life permanently. TNT would end up going off while Tommy was inside, causing a security lockdown where Tommy was to be locked up with Dream for the next week. After that week in which Sam made it clear that he was unable to find the security breach that the TNT may have caused, and told Tommy that he may be stuck with Dream for a few more days extra. After Sam left, Tommy and Dream started to argue about the book's existence, and after some back and forth, Dream would punch Tommy to death, taking his final canon life. A couple of days later, Dream would prove the book to be real when he brings Tommy back to life, and after some back and forth over the next few days, Sam would return and hear Tommy is alive. Simply pulls him out of prison. Tommy now plans for Dream's final canon life to be taken. I'd like to thank you guys for watching this video all the way through to the end, as it's highly appreciated. Also, make sure to let me know if you guys would like to see me break down each and every one of these events in more detail in their own individual video in the future. But until next time guys, I've been your host Chris Air, the SMP guy, and goodbye.